confirmation from the control room. Madam Mayor, you are now live.
Thank you. Good evening, South Windsor, and welcome to the South Windsor Town Council meeting of Monday, February 7th. I'd like to call the meeting to order, but I would like to read. To view this meeting, please tune in to channel 16 of your provider, if your provider is Cox Cable, channel 6082 if your provider is Frontier, G Media on our town website is at it's you can view it at gmedia.swagit.com/live or live stream on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/South Windsor. To participate in public input this evening, please call 855-925-2801. When you hear welcome to publicinput.com, type in the code 5358. And then you're going to press the *3 to show you would like to speak. This will enter you in a queue. When you are through speaking, you will hear, "Thank you for speaking. You are now muted." You may request to speak again by pressing *3 one more time. There will be a public hearing this evening at 8 p.m. to receive citizen input on the transfer of funds from the closed capital improvement projects account to the police department women's locker room project. So now with number 1, call the meeting to order, of which I've done, and now we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Roberts, do you have a flag to put up for all of us?
I do. Hang on one second.
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a roll call, please?
Counselor Evans?
Here.
Counselor Lidecker?
Here.
Counselor Gamble?
Here.
Counselor Lopez?
Here.
Counselor Kozakowski?
Here.
Deputy Mayor King?
Here.
Counselor Kowalski? Counselor Paterna? Mayor Pendleton?
Present. Is that everyone? Yes, thank you. Now we'll move on to the mayor's remarks. There's a few things that I'd like to speak about this evening. One of them I would like to mention about open space. The Open Space Task Force, you'll see that this evening that we're going to have appointments to open space. Open space is not a board or commission. It is a subcommittee of the council. So at this time, I have spoken to a representative from the minority side and the majority side to have our representatives be on open space. And that would be the appointment of Counselor Kozakowski and Counselor Deputy Mayor King. That would be appointed to Open Space Task Force from the Town Council. You will see this evening that we will be tabling one item for a second reading. However, that person will be appointed later on in the meeting. The other thing that I would like to talk about is we're going to be receiving the draft budget calendar for our meetings. That is still being worked out at this time, but we will have all of our meetings put onto a schedule for everyone to see. And we're working with the Board of Education to determine when our meetings are going to be. Just a little bit of house cleaning talking about here. And then I would like to also mention that we have a guest speaker this evening, and she is joining us as my guest because the Human Relations Commission had a wonderful meeting on Wednesday evening and invited our guest, Myra Clark Siegel, to their meeting, of which I attended. And it was a wonderful, I'd like to thank our Human Relations Commission for having that meeting, and Ritu Goel for bringing her here to first speak with us at the HRC meeting. And it was requested from HRC that we bring her to the council meeting. And Myra's going to give us a presentation this evening that I think is very important and very educational. So if you don't mind, I'd like us to welcome our guest, Myra. So go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Pendleton, and thank you to everyone on the South Windsor Town Council for having me with you this evening. And I also want to thank Ritu Goel and the members of the Human Relations Commission for the opportunity to speak together last week. This is an important issue that affects all of us here throughout the area and, of course, across the country and around the world. As our municipal government leaders, you all are on the front lines of keeping our communities safe and healthy, and I want to thank you for your tireless efforts in doing so, particularly over these past few challenging years. My name, as Mayor Pendleton said, is Myra Clark Siegel, and I am the Regional Director for AJC, the American Jewish Committee, Westchester, Fairfield, although we proudly work throughout Connecticut. AJC is the largest and the oldest Jewish civil rights organization in the United States, by way of background, and we were founded in 1906. We are a nonpartisan organization precisely because the issues that we champion are far too important. It is the part of the DNA of everything we do every single day since our founding in 1906, which is championing civil rights and human rights for everyone. And part of that, which I'm here to speak to you briefly about this evening, is the issue of combating anti-Semitism. But we do so because one of the hallmarks of AJC's work is our partnerships with all of our interfaith and intergroup communities across the country. AJC has national formal partnerships that allow us to work together to support all of our communities. MJAC, the Muslim Jewish Alliance Committee, the Latino Jewish Advisory Committee. We have a formal partnership with National Urban League to work together with the Black community. We have a formal partnership with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, with the Asian American Pacific Islander community, and the list goes on and on. Indeed, earlier this year, AJC Westchester Fairfield launched a community of conscience designed specifically to do this, to bring our interfaith and intergroup partners together, not just in times of crisis, though that is certainly important, but actually to work together and to stand strong together and proud with and for each other, with all members of our communities. And that's really what I'm here to speak to you about this evening. We all watched the events at the synagogue in Colleyville in Texas a few weeks ago, and those were a stark reminder of what American Jews are facing and have been facing for some time. Certainly that is not the way any of us were planning to commemorate MLK Day or weekend. And unfortunately, the attack at the Colleyville synagogue was not an isolated incident. Indeed, just last week, white supremacists were marching in Florida with Nazi flags and Nazi salutes. On January 6th at the Capitol last year, there were rioters there reading with sweatshirts that said 6MNWE. 6 million was not enough. And certainly prior to that, Charlottesville, where people were chanting, quote, "Jews will not replace us." These are just some examples of what Jewish Americans are dealing with throughout the United States on a regular basis. And indeed, the Pittsburgh Tree of Life attack in 2018 was a wake-up call for American Jews. 11 Americans were killed simply because they were Jews. And that spurred us at AJC to really assess what American Jews feel and how that might comport with broader civil society. So 3 years ago, after the Tree of Life attack, AJC commissioned the largest survey of American Jews in history. And since then, we have conducted follow-up surveys. In October of 2021, we conducted our third survey, and I'd like to very briefly highlight some of those findings, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you all have. The thing that I want to say, however, is that anti-Semitism is not just an attack on Jews, but it is an assault on the core values of any democratic and pluralistic society. In our report, AJC actually conducted a survey that was two parallel surveys. As I mentioned, one of Jewish Americans and one of the general population. And it was designed to tell us both groups' experiences and perceptions of anti-Semitism in America. We asked American Jews and Americans across the country how much of a problem they think anti-Semitism is in America today. And the difference between the two demographic groups was pretty striking. 9 in 10, or 90% of American Jews, think that anti-Semitism is a problem in the United States today. I'm going to let that number sink in for a minute. And if you look at the general society responses, it is only 6 in 10, with a full quarter of Americans believing that anti-Semitism is not a problem in our country. I think that these stark differences in perception really point to a vastly different understanding of the threats that American Jews have been facing across the United States. We asked many other questions, but I'll briefly touch upon a few other highlights. We asked both groups if anti-Semitism has increased or decreased or stayed the same over the last 5 years. And of course, if we remember, the last 5 years does include the deadliest attack that I just mentioned against American Jews in our country's history at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. 8 in 10 American Jews reported that anti-Semitism had increased in the last 5 years. But Americans in general are half as likely to agree. And in fact, the general public is also 5 times more likely to actually believe that anti-Semitism has somehow decreased over the last 5 years, which it has not. Indeed, 1 in 4 American Jews has been the target of anti-Semitism over the past 12 months. And American Jews are changing their behavior out of fear of anti-Semitism. What that means is, in the last year alone, nearly 4 in 10 American Jews have avoided either publicly wearing, carrying, or displaying things that would publicly identify them as a Jew. So a religious Jew who might wear a yarmulke, or someone who might wear a Star of David necklace, has absolutely avoided wearing this if it might make them feel uncomfortable or in danger. Other American Jews have avoided going to certain places, certain events, or certain situations out of concern for their safety or their comfort as Jews. And still others have avoided posting content online that might identify them publicly as Jewish or sympathetic to Jewish issues. And I'll just note here that the FBI compiles hate crime statistics annually, as I'm sure you know, on racial and religious-based hate crimes. The Jewish community is roughly 2% of the American population, but FBI hate crimes statistics show that 60% of the religiously based hate crimes in this country are against one religion, and that's the Jewish community. So you have a very significant imbalance, 2% of the population, but 60% of the religiously based hate crimes. Indeed, the two populations that are consistently and unfortunately at the top of the FBI hate crime statistics are the Black community, which is the target of 60% of racial hate crimes, and the Jewish community, the target, as I mentioned, 60% of religious-based hate crimes. And the stark reality with all of this is that all too often, the Jewish community feels totally alone. So we are looking to you as our government officials to stand together with and for the Jewish community. There are several actions that we are asking our government officials to take, and I'll be happy to speak with you all about that, but I'd like to stop here and see if you all have any questions.
Myra, I think you can move on to what you're asking of us.
Thank you. So there are two primary areas that we would really ask for your support. One is AJC and the U.S. Conference of Mayors partnered together to establish a joint initiative, a joint statement called Mayors United Against Anti-Semitism, which is a statement that mayors across the country, to date over 750 mayors across all 50 U.S. states have signed, which is a joint statement saying enough, saying that we, the undersigned mayors, express our deep conviction that anti-Semitism is not only an attack on Jews, but an assault on the core values of any democratic and pluralistic society. So we respectfully are here this evening asking Mayor Pendleton to sign the Mayors United Against Anti-Semitism statement. The second thing, and it goes together, they are one and the same, is the IRA anti-Semitism working definition. IRA is IHRA. It stands for the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. It was a working definition established by NGOs over a period of years to define anti-Semitism. It is not legally binding as a statement, but it is meant as a working definition to understand what anti-Semitism is. Because when we can define it, we can measure it. When we can measure it, we can address it, and we can work together. So we ask for your support to endorse both of these initiatives.
Thank you, Myra. Does anyone have any questions for Myra? Not seeing any. I have to say that when I heard these statistics on Thursday evening, I literally cried when I heard what the number 6 and then the letters meant in the HRC meeting. I cringed to hear that. And after that meeting, I spoke with 2 other folks here on the council or staff, and it also brought me to tears at that time too. So it was very disturbing to me to think that someone is walking around and being persecuted for their religious beliefs. Very disturbing. So at this time, is there, Councilor Evans?
I would like to make a motion if we could suspend the agenda to authorize you to sign the Mayors United Against Anti-Semitism.
So it's to suspend the rules, to suspend the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Seeing everyone. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries to suspend the rules.
I'd like to make a motion that we authorize Mayor Pendleton to sign on behalf of the town of South Windsor the Mayors United Against Anti-Semitism statement in support of the initiative of the American Jewish Committee to condemn anti-Semitism in all of its forms as defined by that committee.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Thank you so very much. Andrew, go ahead. Councilor Pendleton, sorry. Councilor Pendleton, that's me. Councilor Paterna, that's you. Good. Andy, you're on mute, I believe. Scott, do we have Andy on board here?
I see him, he's speaking, but we can't hear him.
Councilor Evans?
I just wanted to say I was on the HRC meeting last Thursday, and I really appreciate them bringing this forward, and Myra for joining us tonight. And as I said Thursday, South Windsor is not immune from anti-Semitism. We've seen it very recently in our community, in social media, and posted in different places. And I think it just is so important that we recognize that it's not something that's something happening elsewhere. We need to recognize it on our doorsteps in our own community and stand up against it. So thank you.
Absolutely. Andy, are you on board now? Give it a try. Still can't hear you. Check your microphone. Well, Scott, he can't go the whole meeting like this. Is there something you can help him out with?
See if he'll take his headphones out.
Andy, take your headphones out and see if that works.
All right, is that any better?
Much better, thank you. We can hear
Okay.
you now. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to Myra for joining us tonight. And this is such an important issue. And I wonder what suggestions you might have for what we can do as a community to get this information out there, because I think people will be shocked to hear some of those results from the surveys that you've taken. So there's some way that you can help us in terms of our own campaign here in South Windsor.
Thank you. First of all, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor Pendleton, and thank you to all of you for supporting the Mayors United and IRA working definition adoption. I think that, first of all, education is the primary tool that we all have at our disposal. And I am happy to work with you all, whether it is working with our first responders to educate them, whether it is working with our school officials to educate them. We have materials and tools that we are happy to work with you all to do. In fact, we created a glossary, a visual glossary called Translate Hate, which takes a lot of the anti-Semitic tropes that are used all too often, whether it's social media, whether it's in physical attacks, and really it highlights them in the current ways in which they are utilized. And so I would be happy to follow up with you all in any way that you'd like. And we're really here as a resource for you all. So really, thank you for your leadership. And we are happy to be here. And again, if it's providing briefings for your professionals and officials, we are happy to do that. And then they are the ones who amplify this and take this to our broader community.
Thank you very much.
I'll also note that we work very closely with, as I mentioned, interfaith and intergroup partners, and we're very happy to continue the dialogue that way as well.
Thank you. And I thank you for coming this evening. And I do have the Mayors Against Anti-Semitism here in front of me, right here, the paperwork. I hope you guys can see this. So at this time, since you've approved it, I am going to sign this. And I would like to have everyone see that. And I will be forwarding this on to Myra. And my name will be added to the list. And I will be putting, and there's my signature right there. So Myra, it's all set, and I will get this off to you.
Thank you, Mayor Pendleton, and thank you to all of you on the City Council and for the IRA working definition adoption as well. We are grateful and we are truly thankful to you for all of your leadership and look forward to continuing to partner with you. So thank you for the opportunity to join you this evening. I hope it's the beginning of many conversations together. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay well.
You too.
And moving on the agenda, we have the adoption of the agenda. Councilor Lydecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Second. Is there any changes that need to be done to the agenda that we know of? One of the changes on the agenda is that there is a paragraph on page 5 under 13D. There is 2 items there, just to let you guys know that on 13D, it says November 13th, 2013, and it will be read 2023. And then the 3rd paragraph is going to be deleted because that's not concerning the topic of 13D. All those in favor for adoption of the agenda? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Communications and report from the town manager, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In terms of our COVID numbers, as of today, we have 3,650 total infected individuals, 3,472 are past the time of quarantine, 112 are currently sick, and there are 66 deceased. As you can see from the written report, our numbers are drastically moving down at this point, which has been good. The town has been working very hard at trying to secure a private testing site for residents to go get testing locally. We're trying to negotiate some of the finer points of that location and the work with that private company, but we will hopefully have something to release to the public end of this week, next week sometime. We're also monitoring our staffing pretty closely, as we've seen a slight uptick amongst staff who've gotten sick again. So far, that has not impacted service delivery moving forward. But we are keeping a very close eye on it. And then lastly, we know that the governor had a press conference today. He's talking about the end of February, moving all mask requirements to the discretion of local municipalities. Of course, I think as everybody's aware, that needs to be approved by the legislature first, and we'll have to see where all that gets ironed out at this point. I have been having some conversations with some of our state representatives as a result of that, and we'll see where it goes. Also, I want to report to the council as well as the community that after 3 years of working pretty hard at it, we've finally secured a AAA credit rating, which is an increase in our credit rating. This will only go to help our community long term, as we are financing for our school bonds, as well as some of the other bonds associated with larger projects that we've undertaken. The reasons given for S&P increasing our credit rating is the suburban affluent community located in Northern Hartford experienced consistent strong growth, strong management, trend of positive financial performance, and then low overall net debt and contingent liability profile, which basically means we have manageable capital needs. We've got a lot of work still ahead of us. Now that we've achieved this, we need to make sure that we keep it and hold on to it. There's only 31 other communities in the state that actually have a AAA credit rating, so we've kind of joined an elite class in doing that. And we need to make sure that we keep our financial house in order to stay there and remain there. So that's a pretty big deal for us, and I think hopefully over time, especially as we start to see the stock market change and the way markets are kind of moving with the Fed increasing interest rates, it will only go to benefit our community more. We recently went out for a bond sale, as I think all of you are aware, and we estimate it probably saved the town somewhere between 7 and 10 basis points. That number is only going to get larger as time goes on. So some really good news in that regard. Also, just wanted to make sure that the council is aware that the assessor has now signed the grand list for the year. And she has identified that our grand list will grow by 2.91%. Most of that is coming from values of automobiles, which increased the most, and that's across the board throughout the entire state of Connecticut. We're expecting from that growth in our grand list to generate about $3,262,699 additional dollars for this year's upcoming budget. So, and that is all I have to report. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Councilor Paterno?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, first of all, Mr. Maniscalco, congratulations on such a great job, and you've shown such terrific leadership in working over the last couple of years to get this AAA rating. This is so important to the town of South Windsor. So thank you and the staff who worked with you on this. I appreciate the hard work that went into this. The question I have is, it's always interesting to see how much money we can save when we get this kind of a rating. So I want to make sure people understand that 7 to 10 basis points, what does that mean in terms of the interest rates and the potential savings down the road for us as a town? I know it's an estimate.
Yeah, right now,
Yeah.
I think we're probably, for the money that we bonded about $20 million. So I'm going to guess it's probably to the tune of probably just a bit shy of 100 grand.
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in that ballpark.
But then with
But
the,
I think
with the
as
new
we move
bonding,
forward, yeah, as we move forward and that number, gets
Right.
bigger, it's going to be significant dollar amounts.
okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions? Counselor Lidecker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also just want to say congratulations, Mr. Maniscalco, to you and the staff on the AAA rating. I know that was a priority for you when you first joined South Windsor. So to see that come to fruition under your guidance over the last 2 years, I think is huge. So you are to be commended on that, and all of your staff. So thank you very much. I also am excited to see, and this is more of a statement, and then I promise I have a question. In Chief Lindstrom's portion of the report, he mentioned he and Deputy Chief Ekblom have started an internal working group focusing on fair and impartial policing. That was very exciting to see, especially with how much Chief Lindstrom did participate in our social justice commission that we had that Councillor Evans had started. So I'm hoping at some point, once this working group kind of gets up and running, if maybe they can come in and just kind of talk to us, or the Social Justice Commission just kind of explain what is happening, what is transpiring, what are their findings. But that was a huge step. So please extend my thanks to the Chief of Police for setting that into motion. You mentioned, and now here's my question, you mentioned on the grand list that the majority of it is coming from motor vehicle assessments. Can you just explain that a little bit to all of us and to the citizens? Why is that number so high this year? Where is that number coming from? And just give us a little background on that.
Sure. So the largest increase in value, I guess, percentage in value is from motor vehicles. So I think if anybody has tried to go buy a car recently, they've seen that there's quite a significant lack of stock if you were to go to any car dealership right now, which as a result has driven the value of both new cars significantly up, as well as existing cars. My understanding of the lack of inventory that's out there is a result of a chip shortage that was going on with vehicles for a while. And as a result, you can see that kind of flow over into our grand list as a result.
So this is something that we kind of should anticipate ebbing and flowing. So when the values kind of come down to pre-COVID inventory, essentially, we'll see this kind of reduce on the grand list, essentially?
Correct. So you'll see those numbers will go down some as a result. Also, next year, I think, as everybody's aware, we're going to be going into a revaluation year. So all of our values are going to be, reviewed again based upon where everything is, specifically more about our personal, or not personal property, our real estate and our homes and stuff like that. So that's going to change everything as well as next year specifically.
Okay, and then one last follow-up question, if I may.
Sure.
I know with regards to the value of our homes, we can appeal that and go through some sort of process to determine if we feel the value is correct, and there's a process to that. Is there the same on the motor vehicle side?
Yes, you would need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. There is a timeline coming up for that very shortly. So they would need to probably reach out to the assessor's office to find out when that timeline is due and what they need to do to actually get on the list for an appeal.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Gamble.
Mayor, I just, Councilor Lidecker sort of asked the questions I was looking to ask, but I just wanted to see if I can narrow in on it just a little more closely. So you're saying that it was a 2.91% in the grand list increase based primarily on a motor vehicle. And so does that sort of equate to a 2.91% tax increase on people's cars? Is that what you would kind of say how that works?
Yeah, so no.
Not on a car, a tax increase.
The largest growth in value on a percentage basis was on motor vehicles. We still have the largest if you were to look at dollar amounts, the largest dollar amount in our grand list is related to property and real estate. So the cars still don't even come close to that. But on a percentage basis, our car values grew the most.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Attorney Carey.
I just wanted to add one thing, because Councilor Leidecker brought up a very good point, and I just had my ACIR meeting with the legislative officials, and I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that back on the legislative agenda is the notion of capping the mill rate for personal property, including automobiles, which, again, to Councilor Leidecker's point, could impact that increase going forward. But I would also echo what Mr. Maniscalco said, that overall, the largest part of your grand list and your tax base is obviously your real estate, all of which also went up because of COVID. And that, I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Evans?
Thank you. I'll reiterate what a couple others have said and congratulations on the AAA rating. I think that's a huge accomplishment for you and for many. I did want to ask, now that our numbers are going down, we're seeing the potential of a lift on a mask mandate for students. What are we looking at for the plan for exiting virtual meetings? Just wondering, I know previously it was a certain amount of time in the yellow zone, I believe. I'm not sure where we are at this point. I'm just wondering if you could speak to like kind of the exiting plan and returning to in-person meetings.
Sure. So the line in the sand that we drew when we put the mask mandate in place, and then kind of tied the virtual meetings to that, as well as a couple other things, was to be in the yellow category, which is determined by the State Department of Public Health for 2 weeks. I just checked today, we still are in the red category, which is 15 or more cases per 100,000 on a 2-week rolling basis. The yellow category, I want to say, is 5 cases to something. I don't remember the other number, but it's around 5 cases per 100,000 on a rolling 2-week basis. So that's kind of the idea of where we had originally said. Myself and the staff are going to be getting together this week to sit down and talk about where we are and where things are moving, and how even the announcements of the governor today potentially could impact, you know, what we've done and where we're moving forward or not. You know, and we'll make some decisions based on that after that. So we are kind of getting to a point where we're transitioning from what's called a pandemic to an endemic, meaning that it's no longer, it's going to become something that we just have to live with on an ever-changing basis moving forward, rather than the emergency level that we've been in for the last couple of years. So we'll have to see how and when that transition really is going to occur, and how that'll impact what we're doing with mandates and the virtual meetings.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Paterna. No, you're on mute, Andy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
There you go.
Mr. Maniscalco, I just happened to catch over the weekend a news report about mental health services offered by police departments in the state of Connecticut. And they highlighted 2 towns. One was Waterbury and one was South Windsor. And I'm bringing this up just to say that Sergeant Cleverton was the police officer from our staff who was interviewed. He did such a professional job. He was so impressive in explaining how the mental health services needed to be increased due to COVID issues, and how the police department is working with social services to be more of a community partner and not just strictly law enforcement. So I just want to give kudos to him, because he presented South Windsor in such a positive light and showed that we are at the forefront of dealing with mental health services. So please extend our thanks to the police department and Sergeant Cleverton in particular. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any
Yeah.
other questions? Comments?
No, the South Windsor do an excellent job at making sure.
Mr. Maniscalco, you're kind of breaking up. I'm not sure if you're with us right now. Are you still there? You're good? Okay. Any other comments or questions?
What's happening exactly?
Are you there? No, you're not?
I'm here half the time and half not. Not sure what's happening.
So I have a few comments and questions about the town manager's report. First of all, congratulations on the AAA rating. And it is the hard work of both council and the town staff to get us to where we needed to be. It is a team effort. So congratulations to everyone that's put all the energy and effort into this. And thank you to our assessor for signing off on the grand list. So Mr. Maniscalco, I'm just going to go through each page here. As far as the police department is concerned, that Councilor Paterno had mentioned, I believe that we authorized hiring of social services, a social worker that could be on call for any type of a situation for our community that the police could call at any certain time. Is that correct? He's here and not there. Just jump in at any time when I'm talking.
Correct.
And then I'd just like to also mention that, and I want to put my glasses on. So
You're correct.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to welcome back Officer Edmund Klein, who was deployed in the military, and he is now back on American soil here, and he was in the Air National Guard, and he is part of our police department. So hopefully he'll be joining us back on active duty here as a police officer. He's been gone for about a year. So now he'll be joining us back. So I'd like to welcome him back home. And thank you for coming back to us. And then we have another page. I'm just flipping the pages, Mr. Maniscalco. And I'd like to mention that if you could speak to the Podunk Bridge, please. I believe that's going to it's going to begin spring of 2022 and be completed September of 2022. So the Main Street Bridge over the Podunk River is going to be worked on this year, from what I understand. Correct, Mr. Maniscalco?
Yes, the bridge should be worked on this season. And I believe they should be done with the bridge by the time the Hartford Marathon would occur.
Great, thank you. And then we have, moving on here, a little note from the finance department and the assessor's office, and also with human services, with the senior services, is the starting February 1st to May 15th, residents over 65 years of age or totally disabled can file for the homeowner's benefit if they qualify. So the residents can reapply through February with appointments made through the Senior Center or the Human Services. And the dollar amount that Human Services has put in is that for a single person, South Windsor has expanded the local option, which allows up to $50,000 a year for a single homeowner and $65,000 a year for a married couple. So folks can contact Human Services for that. And I'm not sure if I have anything else. And I think that may be it, Mr. Maniscalco. Was something I wanted to mention? Oh, I did want to mention. Public Works, I want to say thank you to Public Works for the great job that they did on the last storms that we had here, especially with the ice and then the one before that with all that snow. So they did a fantastic job. I'd also like to say thank you to the staff of IT, Mr. Lehman and Mr. Drew, on the great backgrounds that they have created for us. And I told them, you know, I think it's quite South Windsor-esque, which it is South Windsor's picture of the fields and the Connecticut River and then our town seal. And it's all color coordinated. I think it looks fabulous. And I just want to thank them for that. I'd also like to say and just speak about and thank the town staff who worked with the Board of Education to make Pleasant Valley a reality. And on Saturday, we had the groundbreaking ceremony at Pleasant Valley School. But to be able to transfer the funds to be able to support the construction of Pleasant Valley School and working through the town staff, once again, to make this a reality. And I'd like to say thank you to the town staff for that. And I think I'm done on that
Thank
one.
you very much. I'll make sure that all gets passed on to them.
Thank you. And then we have, is any other comments or questions from anyone? Not seeing anyone? Okay, we'll be moving on to the public input for items on the agenda. And Mr. Roberts, do we have anyone in queue that we need to hear from the public input, please?
Madam Mayor, I do have somebody. I can't tell you what they're going to speak on, but if you'd like, I can let them in.
Certainly, go ahead. Are they in?
The system's
And
working.
then we have, is any other comments or questions from anyone? Not seeing anyone?
Their
Okay,
mic
we'll
is
be
not at
moving
home.
on to the public input for items on the agenda. And Mr. Roberts, do we have anyone in queue that we need to hear from the public input, please?
Madam Mayor, I do have somebody. I can't tell you what they're going to speak on, but if you'd like, I can let Madam Mayor, they have their, obviously they're watching Cox because it's delayed.
Hi, this is Dan Edwards, 131 Hilton Drive.
Are they in? Hi, Dan.
Thank you
Thanks for
very much.
joining us tonight.
Hold on one second here. Something seems to be going on with the connection here. Yes, Dan Edwards, 131 Hilton Drive. I kind of echo the comment brought up earlier, wondering when you're going to get back into the council chambers. The numbers are starting to look better. There's a 10-minute technology delay today. I know it's got to be frustrating for all of you, and as much as I enjoy the banter of pre-meetings, it would be very nice to be able to at least see you in person, or potentially actually also have an opportunity where we can all just use WebEx. Publicinput.com, I'm not sure what the cost is. I have to imagine there's a separate cost that we're paying to actually have two systems, a WebEx, publicinput.com. I'm sure there's even another party. So it'd be nice to actually tackle that. But I'm actually calling specifically in regards to the minutes from the starting to look better from the January 18th meeting. Today. I know it's got to be frustrating for all of you. The minutes from the January 18th meeting, under item 4, mayor's remarks. See you in person or potentially, and for whatever reason that keeps playing. During the mayor's remarks, it mentioned something to the extent of. Not sure what the cost is. I have to imagine there's a separate cost that we're paying to actually. Sorry. It does mention something about, in the 5th line, about all emails must be sent in by the end of business on Friday before the scheduled town council meeting. The problem with that, though, is the agenda didn't actually come out until, I think, 2:34 p.m., which literally left not even 2 hours for people interested in actually making a comment. It just seems like, I didn't find that in the town council rules and procedures, and it would be nice to be able to have that addressed or clarified such that any emails, if public comment wish to be expressed, that they have until 2 p.m. before the meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, is there anyone else that would like to speak?
This time there is not.
And thank you, Mr. Roberts. I do have 2 emails that were sent in that were asked to be read into the record. And at this time, I'm going to do that. And it says, I request that the following be read into the meeting minutes at the town council meeting February 7th, 2022. I want to congratulate the town manager, Michael Maniscalco, and the town staff for achieving the new AAA financial rating. The upgraded rating has already saved the town money on long-term bonds and will continue to affect future borrowing rates. While a small but vocal group of town citizens often unfairly criticize the town manager to advance their own political agenda, I want to thank Mr. Maniscalco and the town council for looking out for all taxpayers in town. Under Democratic administration, we have grown our grand list and maintained reserves. I appreciate the continued service of the town manager and the town council in making South Windsor a great place to live. Signed, Linda Jeske, 70 Mohegan Trail. I have one more here, please, and that is This is submitted by Anthony Duarte, South Windsor Democratic Town Committee, on behalf of the Executive Board of the South Windsor Democratic Town Committee. To be read into the record at the February 7th, 2022 Town Council meeting. The South Windsor Democratic Town Committee appreciates all of the town residents who volunteer to serve on the town's boards and commissions. Those individuals make important decisions that help our town government function and make South Windsor a great place to live. Because we know that these are important positions, we believe that all volunteers, whatever their party affiliation, should demonstrate that they will work for all the residents of South Windsor in a fair and open-minded manner. We believe that this should be the criteria for appointments. We support the judgment of the mayor and the members of the town council to make final decisions on appointments based on who they believe will best serve our community. Anthony Duarte, Chair of South Windsor Democratic Town Committee. And that's all I have, Mr. Roberts. Is there anyone else that has called in?
There is not.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Moving on, adoption of minutes of previous meeting. Councilor Paterna.
Through you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
It's just 8 o'clock, just to let you know, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Okay.
very much. If we could hold that,
Sure.
if we could suspend the meeting at this point to go to our public hearing. If the clerk of the council could read that, please. Carrie, Attorney Olson, do I have to take a vote on suspending the meeting to go to public hearing? I don't believe.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Attorney Olson?
Yep, I'm here. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Do I have,
apologize.
do I have to take a vote for us to go to suspend the meeting to go into public hearing?
So the way that you have always done it is that you don't have to take a vote, but you basically suspend the council meeting to go into the, as you've read, the public hearing notice and to go forward with the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. That's what I did.
Yep.
Could we have the clerk of the council read the public hearing notice, please?
All right, revised location is now virtual. To view this public hearing, please tune into channel 16 if your provider is Cox Cable, channel 6082 if your provider is Frontier, gmedia.swagit.com/live or live stream on Facebook page at www.facebook.com/South Windsor. To participate in citizen input, call 855-925-2801. When you hear welcome to publicinput.com, type in the code 5358, press *3 to show that you would like to speak. This will enter you into the queue. When you are through speaking, you will hear a thank you for speaking. You are now muted. You may request to speak again by pressing *3. To be published in the Journal Enquirer, January 28th, 2022, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Notice is hereby given that the South Windsor Town Council has set Monday, February 7th, 2022 at 8 p.m. in the council chambers at the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Avenue, South Windsor, Connecticut, at the time and place for the public hearing to receive citizen input on the transfer of funds from closed capital improvement projects accounts to the Police Department Women's Locker Room Project. Dated at South Windsor, Connecticut, this 28th day of January 2022, attested to by Dominika Zdonek, Clerk of the Town Council.
Thank you, Dominika. Is there anyone that has called in, Mr. Roberts, for this public hearing, please?
I don't see anybody at this time. We can wait a minute or two and see if anybody comes in.
Absolutely.
There's always a slight delay with Cox.
Absolutely, we can wait. Absolutely.
Madam Mayor, there's still no one connected.
Okay, we'll give it another minute.
I was just singing the YMCA song, sign language. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Mr. Roberts, has there anyone called in?
No one now, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. So not hearing any phone calls or public input on the public hearing, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Not seeing any. Public hearing is now closed at 8:05. I would like to go back to the regular meeting, please. And we are now on to the adoption of the minutes. Councilor Paterna.
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. And we have a couple of special meetings and regular meetings. Any objection if we do it all in one motion?
Councilor Paterna, I have to abstain on the January 18th minutes, so I was going to request if we could maybe split them. My
Okay.
apologies.
Yes, no problem. Let's start with the January 18th then. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes for the following town council meetings. The regular meeting minutes of January 18th, 2022.
And the regular meeting. And the public
I'm going to
hearing.
do them separately for Karen Lydecker, right? For Council Lydecker.
Councilor Lydecker, what about the public hearing? Do you also have to abstain from that?
I do. I wasn't present at any event
Oh.
on the 18th.
My apologies. So the regular, be it resolved, the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the following town council meetings, the regular meeting minutes of January 18th and the public hearing minutes of January 18th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Could I have could we get a roll call, please?
Councilor Evans?
Yes.
Councilor Lydecker?
Abstain.
Councilor Gamble?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Abstain.
Councilor Kozakowski? He's right there.
Merrick?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King?
Yes.
Deputy Kopowski? Okay. Councilor Paterna
Yes.
and Mayor Pendleton?
Yes.
All right, we have one more. Be it resolved, the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the following town council meeting, the special meeting minutes of January 10th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Evans. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Thank you, Councilor Paterna. And now moving on to item 9, communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council. Oh my goodness, okay, everybody's raising their hands. I love it. Councilor Evans, go ahead.
Thank you. Just wanted to touch back on HRC and really thank them again for bringing forward the Mayors United Against Anti-Semitism. It was a really great meeting that we had last Thursday, and the decision to bring it forward was a very important one. Also for HRC, they are hosting a photo contest and exhibition. The theme is Resilience and Hope Rising in South Windsor. They will be accepting entries through the end of July, at which point they will choose winners. First, second, third place, as well as some honorable mentions. And then those photographs will be posted or exhibited at the library through the entire month of August. So a great event for many of the community to get involved in, as well as to go and see at the library. They also discussed the idea.
Councilor Evans, may I ask you about that just for a real quick second?
Yes, yeah,
Is
go ahead.
that going to be on the HRC website on the town page so folks can see what the title of the photo contest is again, please?
Yes, so there was already discussion. They've been organizing the entry information, and I believe if it has not been sent over to the town manager at this point, that it will be very soon. So that will be on the town website as well as on the HRC. I'm sure it'll be on Facebook, and you can find it there for an event as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
One other thing that they brought up at their meeting was the idea that knowing when other groups are putting on events in order to try to collaborate more amongst commissions and different committees so that they could be able to, support one another more and be able to have more shared amongst the town to make people aware and be able to have groups collaborate. So that was something that was discussed. I'm not sure if that's something maybe through the IT department or how we might put something on our website for HRC and other groups to do that, or if it's more of like an email thread or a constant communication amongst the committees, commissions, and boards. So something to consider. Also today, there was a SWAF meeting. The amount of work that they are doing around the town is clearly vast in dealing with mental health issues at many levels. Just opening my notes. As far as the teen center, the library, Eli Terry, HRC, the high school. They also are planning their event that is going to be coming up at the end of March, which should be a great event for the community, for families, children to attend. So really stay tuned for that. They were just kind of organizing that information together today, but I think that'll be a great opportunity for the community. Additionally, the town manager put up for us some information about the committees and the commissions that we've really been working or striving for as a town council to make sure that they're successful. So the Strategic Planning Committee, the Park and Rec Facility Planning and Implementation Committee, the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission, as well as the Art Commission. So that information was put out in an effort to try to reach the community and really let people know that these opportunities are out there for those who might want to get involved, and just to learn more about different committees, commissions, boards that have seats and are looking for participation. And anyone who's interested, there is some contact information on there for reach out information, and then we are able to kind of share any individuals who might reach out to help them navigate to get to the right channels to be able to be nominated, whether it's through the town committees or through the town council. Two being new commissions or new committees, it would go through the town council. The commissions would technically go through the town committees, but you do not have to be a registered member of those town committees to be involved in that. So I think it's important for the community to know. There are many people who serve on boards and commissions who are not members of the Democratic Town Committee or the Republican Town Committee. There are unaffiliated. There are members of other parties as well. So really just the hope is that people will learn more about these committees and commissions and show interest so that we can really have some effective committees and commissions in our town.
Thank you, Councilor Evans. Next, Councilor Gamble.
you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the residents who are use Connecticut Water. I'm the Connecticut Water Advisory Liaison. We had a meeting a couple weeks back. We have meetings quarterly, and I just wanted to make people aware of some customer assistance programs that they offer to residents. One is the Water Rate Assistance Program, which is
we're losing him. Give him a minute.
Oh, no.
offered to income. Third, they have an H2O customer assistance program for one-time hardship assistance credits available with forgiveness of balances due for customers experiencing unexpected financial hardship or a life-changing event. They have additional program offerings, and I will just leave you with this, a 1-800 number, 1-800-286-5700, or you can visit their website for more information at ctwater.com.
Counselor Gamble, could you give that phone number again slowly, please?
Sure. It's 1-800-286-5700.
And that's for Connecticut Water, folks.
Yes, just for Connecticut Water, folks.
Thank you, Counselor Gamble. Anything else to report?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
I think this is our first water report in forever, so thank you. Counselor Kozakowski?
All right, thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to report that the Planning and Zoning Commission had a public hearing on January 25th to discuss a petition to change the zoning regulations to have a one-year moratorium on residential development in South Windsor. There was quite a bit of public comment and discussion amongst the commission, and they decided to continue the public hearing to another date in February. So stay tuned to that. I also do want to note that if you look on tomorrow's Planning Zoning Commission agenda, February 8th, there is a new application on kind of an old project. There's a new application with a public hearing being held on a roughly 360,000 square foot distribution center proposed again on Talbot Lane and Governor's Highway. So that's back on the agenda. The plans were revised, and that's why they were able to resubmit. So again, that's going to go to public hearing tomorrow night with the Planning and Zoning Commission. That concludes my report.
Any other reporting on anything else, Counselor Kozakowski? No? Thank you. Counselor Paterna?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could I ask Councilor Kozakowski a question about that hearing or that project?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
So, I was under the impression, and I could be wrong, that after they denied that application for that Talbot Lane project, I thought the developers were filing a lawsuit. And can they actually start a new application before that lawsuit is settled? I'm not sure how that works. So I wonder if they discussed that at all.
Mr. Maniscalco, would you like to address that?
So my understanding is if they're going to file another application, they would need to file the application with something different. Now, what's different in that application at this point is kind of unknown to me. But I believe if you're going to file another application for a similar project, something has to be of a different nature at this point, though. So that being said, there is the lawsuit out there, and they kind of move forward in parallel paths at this point.
They can, okay.
And
All right,
Counselor Kozakowski, you did mention that it's a different plan. The plan was revised.
The plan was revised. I can't speak to how much of it was revised, but there is a difference.
Thank you. Counselor Paterna, are you good with your question?
No, that was good. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the comments.
You're welcome. Counselor Leidecker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it was January 25th. The Board of Ed had a meeting the beginning of the meeting, they talked quite a bit about what had been going on in the elementary schools. Some of the schools raised funds for CCMC through pajama days, donations to South Windsor Human Services, where schools are really doing a lot for the community. They discussed the facilities that they maintain. They talked a lot about how Pleasant Valley has 12 portables currently, and currently their facilities maintains 844,000 square feet of public building space. So that is what they've been trying to maintain throughout these last couple of years, and some of what leads to the new schools that they are proposing or have completed. They talked about the groundbreaking, which we all just had at Pleasant Valley over the weekend. So that is scheduled to be completed in 2 years. And it is imperative that that stay on track, because in order to have room at Timothy Edwards for the kids coming up, they need to move the IPOP program over into Pleasant Valley. Essentially, the largest thing that they did discuss during the Board of Ed meeting was the superintendent's budget. So her budget has come in at $81,814,440. I apologize, Dr. Carter and Craig Zimmerman. I know I just gave you a heart attack with 81,000. It is a 4.95% increase over last year. Dr. Carter did mention quite a bit that she had kind of warned us that this was going to be coming because of some of the cuts that they've been able to make in years past. That with the rapid growth in the population here in students, I think the enrollment projection over the next 10 years is 17%, that they do need to continue to keep up with services for the schools, including elementary school teachers, nurses, English learning teachers, instructional coaches, social workers. And they did state, which I thought was an interesting number, about 92% of other districts in Connecticut spend more per pupil than South Windsor. So that's a pretty large number, that 92% of the other districts around us spend more per pupil. And then they did talk quite a bit too about Orchard Hill, how they were able to turn that, to offer it to the town, to turn it over to the town. This would be very different situation than what Wapping was. Wapping was on loan to us. It was never actually officially turned over as a town building. So there was some discussion that they would turn Orchard Hill over as a town building. It would no longer be a Board of Ed building. I guess that changes the way things are taxed, et cetera, and the maintenance. So that wouldn't be, so it would be in a situation where we would never have to turn Orchard Hill back over to the Board of Ed for additional school expansions for them. But the biggest takeaway was the budget from the meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilor Leidecker. Councilor Leidecker, I also watched some of that meeting, and I'm not sure if you took notes on the reserve that the Board of Ed was using. I believe it's 1.9 reserve that they were using.
That is correct.
So
their budget essentially was 81 million and change, and then they're adding in the 1.9 in reserves that they would be using as well. So overall, what they would be spending in the next fiscal year would be $83,714,440.
About that, Karen. They're gonna give them a heart attack.
I'm sorry, it's just such a large number. I'm like, millions? I can't comprehend.
So, well, thank you. I look forward to working with the Board of Education with our joint work session there and then presenting it to us. Does anyone else have any other reports? Deputy Mayor King? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Real quick, the WPCA, the Water Pollution Control Authority, had their meeting Tuesday, February the 1st. They had their election of officers. Stephen Wagner is the president and the chair. Joe Body is their vice chair. And Ms. Carol Flutternick is their secretary. I was also in tune with the Inland Wetland Agency Conservation Commission, which had their meeting, as well as their election of officers, their chair, is Barbara Kelly. Their vice chair is Jack Phillips, and their secretary is Adam Reed. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. Councilor Lopez, do you have any reports? Not seeing any at this time. Great. Thank you, everyone, for all the reports that you've given. And now moving on to item 10, reports from any committees. No reports from any committees that I see from anyone. Okay. Moving on to item number 11. Excuse me. There we go. First reading, Councilor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve agenda item 11.A, capital A, through 11.A, capital C, as a first reading on the consent agenda.
Is there any name? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And is there any names that need to be removed on that group of names? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Moving on to 11AD. Counselor Kabowski is not here, so Counselor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve agenda item 11AD through 11AI as a first reading on the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Thank you, Counselor Gamble. Is there any names that need to be removed off the consent agenda and moved over? Counselor Evans? We need to move,
I would like to make a motion to remove items 11D, oh, sorry, 11F, 11G, and 11H, and move them to new business.
and all those in favor of the changes? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, and the rest of the motion and all those in favor of the motion as amended? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Point of order, Mayor Pendleton, we have to do a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, yes, a roll call vote, please, for the changes to the motion.
Counselor Evans,
Yes.
Counselor Lidecker,
Yes.
Counselor Gamble,
No.
Counselor Lopez,
Yes.
Counselor Kozakowski,
No.
Deputy Mayor King,
Yes.
Counselor Kowalski, Counselor Paterna,
Yes.
and Mayor Pendleton.
Yes. Could we have a count, please, on that roll call?
There's 6 yeses and 2 nos.
Thank you. And so the motion carries to move those over, and now we're going on to accepting the motion as amended for the first reading. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Oops.
Okay. A roll call, please.
Counselor Evans,
Yes.
Counselor Lidecker,
Yes.
Counselor Gamble,
Yes.
Counselor Lopez,
Yes.
Counselor Kozakowski,
No.
Deputy Mayor King,
Yes.
Counselor Kowalski, Counselor Paterna,
Yes.
and Mayor Pendleton.
Yes.
8.
And a roll call, please, on that.
So 8 yeses and 1 no.
Can't be.
We don't have 9 people here, hon.
Yeah, 7 yeses and 1 no. I'm sorry.
There we go. Thank you. Okay, so the motion carries. And moving on, we are now on 11 I. No, that's part of that, correct? Okay, so then we're moving on to 11B, which is a second reading. Counselor Lidecker?
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Please.
is this to be a second reading or does this move over into new business because it's a subcommittee of the council?
What's going to happen is this has to be tabled for permanency. It will be tabled. This second reading will be tabled and almost deleted, removed. And Attorney Olson, if you could be there to give us a hand with this, I'd appreciate it. A second reading is not required for this because she has now moved on to, G. 13G and H are the new open space appointments because under new business. A second reading is not required for her. So
I'm not reading it and we're not moving to table it. We're just not reading it.
Yep, you're reading it and we're going to table it. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Resolution appointing Barbara Kelly to the Open Space Task Force. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Barbara Kelly to the Open Space Task Force for a term ending December 31st, 2025 to fill the expired term of Elizabeth Warren.
Attorney Olson, if you could help me here, we have to have a second, correct?
Yes.
And then there's a second with Councilor Paterna.
Yep.
And then we move to table this. Is that, how do we do that? Do we take a vote or we just say move to table? Go ahead, Councilor Paterna.
Madam Mayor, thank you. I'd like to suggest that we table this since this is no longer required to have a second reading and this individual can be appointed to a town council subcommittee, which is the Open Space Task Force. So I move to table.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Now moving on to 11C, miscellaneous, there is none. So now we are on number 12, unfinished business. There is none. So new business is 13A, discussion item, declaration of landfill closure. Mr. Maniscalco.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe Mr. Stetson is on the line as well. If Mr. Roberts can bring him in, I see him coming now. I'm sure he's going to do 10 times better at explaining why we need to do this than I could. But,
Mr.
the process
we're
of
losing you. Okay. Mr. Stetson, are you in?
I'm here, folks. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead, Vince.
Just a brief explanation is that there was a landfill on Burgess Road that opened up in the mid-50s and closed in the mid-70s. Due to just a lack of digital technology back then, neither the state DEP has a record of us closing the landfill, and I can't find one within the town's records either. So in order for us to continue to use the landfill and expand its use, we need to file this closure documentation paperwork with Connecticut DEP. All of the supportive documentation required within that document has been created, and all we needed to do is adopt the language.
Any questions for Mr. Stetson? Mr. Maniscalco, is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
Nope, I don't think so. You did a good job.
Is there a resolution that's going to come before us, Mr. Stetson, with the correct wording on closing the landfill?
So I don't know if the resolution is the correct verbiage for what that document is. There are quite a few whereases within it. I think the town manager just needs approval from you folks here to sign that document. And then we'll submit it to.
Yeah, we will have a resolution. We'll have a resolution in front of the council for that'll give me the authority to sign.
Okay, gotcha.
And that will be at our next meeting, Mr. Maniscalco?
Correct.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Stetson? Councilor Lydecker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just so I'm clear, because I got some emails, some in the packet, what we're looking for is basically, or what we're looking at, does it include this Burgess Road composting facility? I don't want to say pamphlet because I think that undermines how much work you put into it, but this compilation of information, because I see one for Burgess Road composting facility. There's one about a solid waste disposable area. There's one about the Burgess Road closed landfill. Are we reading all of these together with regards to this particular piece, or are they all separate and distinct and we're talking about them separately?
So the solid waste closure document is what we need a resolution to adopt. The other documents that you have with you there are required with closure documentation, and that is a site-specific health and safety plan and a routine maintenance plan for the closure. Big picture, the reason we discovered that we don't have this closure document is that I'm trying to expand the composting program on the acreage available up at the landfill. And in order to do that, we need to have this document done. So it's part of the idea to, just get more leaves there, generate more compost, and hopefully offset the cost of the leaf program.
Okay, so these are basically the supporting documents that go along with this solid waste disposable area, essentially a resolution that we're going to be passing.
Correct.
Okay. And then I have one additional question, just to bring a little maybe dark humor to this matter. When I was reading through the Burgess Road composting facility site-specific health and safety plan, under the fire prevention and response plan section, it talks about establishing a hot load bunker, which is comprised of dead men stacked in a box shape that's smoldering or burning compost. Is that a specific term we're not aware of, or are there something we need to know a little bit more about our composting area?
Yeah, there's a couple industry terms that are sprinkled in there. Dead men are basically big concrete blocks, otherwise known as mafia blocks. Who knows what's inside them?
It's not getting any better.
I know, it's not.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse.
Point of order. Point of order. Oh.
All right, good to know we have dirty secrets in South Windsor. Thank you, Mr. Stetson. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Councilor Gamble, thank you, Councilor Lydecker. Councilor Gamble, you had questions?
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. No, Councilor Lydecker asked the questions I was looking for answers to, and Mr. Stetson answered those and then some. So I'm good, thanks.
All right, thank you.
My apologies. I keep stealing your thunder tonight, Councilor Gamble.
Mr. Stetson, when you stated that there is no closure documentation for the disposal area in South Windsor, even after speaking with folks that have retired, they don't recall anything, because I do know that the solid waste area had been covered over. And do you know when that happened?
I want to say that happened in the month of August in 1978, if memory serves me correct.
Okay.
I found a box with a bunch of records and some timelines, numerous communications between EPA, the town. I believe there's history there about it being a Superfund site, it being pulled off. So there's a ample amount of information out there, but just not that closure document that Connecticut DEP legally needs.
And Mr. Stetson, just curious, have you checked with the with the minutes at the town clerk's office of a council meeting where the councilors in the past have signed off on this or authorized this to be closed or anything like that. It may be in the council minutes.
I spent some time down in the archives reviewing the minutes, looking for some additional information, and there was language from the town manager at the time to the town council, and I didn't include all that detail, but there is no records.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Mr. Stetson. Appreciate it. Okay, Mr. Maniscalco, is there anything that you'd like to add to this? Not hearing him or seeing him. Thank you, Mr. Stetson, for coming tonight and explaining this to us. We look forward to the resolution authorizing Mr. Maniscalco to sign this, and he will be in touch with you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councilors. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And moving on to 13B is setting a time and place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the proposed establishment of an illicit discharge ordinance, and that's Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution setting a time and a place for a public hearing to receive citizen input on the proposed establishment of an illicit discharge ordinance. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby sets Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022 at 8 p.m. for a virtual public hearing to receive citizen input on the proposed establishment of an illicit discharge ordinance, a copy of which is on file in the office of the town clerk.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. And is there any comments that you would like to speak on this? This is what we have in front of us, correct? Mr. Maniscalco and Mr. Stetson, and this is what our public hearing is going to be on? Is what we have in front of us?
The only thing that I think we would want to suggest changing of the Inland Wetland Commission from Conservation Commission to Inland Wetland Agency. Just because that's what we have. It's not a Conservation Commission only, so just a small typo in there.
Okay, and so you'll have the final, this is a rough draft right now still, and you'll have the final for us at our next meeting in a resolution authorizing
the
this?
final will be presented to the public.
Okay, and we'll have a resolution authorizing this after the public hearing? Correct, yes? Okay. Is there any questions, comments for Mr. Maniscalco on this? Councilor Lydecker.
So I just want to thank Mr. Maniscalco and Mr. Stetson. I know I had quite a few comments when this first came through. I did go through it again last night. They've made not quite a few, but they've made some instrumental changes with regards to some of the concerns I had. So thank you for your hard work with regards to the concerns and how you kind of outline some more protections towards both the citizens, but as well as the town in this. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilor Lydecker. And now moving on, there are no other comments, so moving on for the vote. All those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, does someone else have? Councilor Kozakowski, did you want to say? Okay. All those in favor, again, raise your hands, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 13C. A discussion item, presentation of the district map regarding the polling locations. This was requested by Mr. Maniscalco, the town manager, and presented by Sue Larson and Sue Burnham, which are both our registrar of voters. And ladies?
Hi, I'm Sue Burnham. I'm here.
Hi, Sue. We can't see you.
Okay, hold on a second.
Sure. I'm sorry, Mr. Maniscalco, are you speaking to me? Okay. Go ahead, Sue Burnham, Registrar Burnham.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So we had submitted to the council a discussion of the redistricting. It was mandated by the state, and you all should have a copy of that letter.
And we also have a very large map that we're looking at.
Yes, and I'm going to ask Mr. Roberts to, he had agreed to put that up on the screen for you.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, I have, I'm actually on my iPhone, so I'm having a problem seeing that. The first map, Mr. Roberts, should be the map showing the
Sue, I'm
district.
here. I can help.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Great.
Go ahead.
Okay, because you want to go ahead with the map, Sue, because I cannot see it from here, but I assume it's the first map, which is the state mandated district.
No, he's got the brand new map up right now. Scott, can you put the other one, or I guess I can talk with this one?
This is the only map I was given.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, the counselors, you received the first map that we sent with the letter, and that one just showed our mandatory changes that we must make. As you're aware, every 10 years there's a census, which then leads to all the states doing reapportionment maps based on population. And then it comes down to a local level where our legislature looks at South Windsor with all the other towns, and then puts together our redistricting maps for our state senate and our assembly districts. We have not changed our senate, so all of South Windsor will still remain in the same senate. However, South Windsor, as far as the assembly districts, we will go from Assembly District 11 to Assembly District 5. And when they did that, they extended out District 1 to include part of what used to be District 5. So when you look at that map, District 1 is mandated. We do not have any say in moving anything around. That is what it has to be.
So that's just to jump in a second. So District 1 is where the voters vote at Pleasant Valley School. Just so you all know what District 1 is.
Mm-hmm. And the map that we have in front of us is the map that is presently on the screen. So we can't see where it moved, where the property line, or the district line moved from to which, so you guys can maybe fill us in on that.
Yeah, sure. The old map used to be, split where LaFolle Boulevard, half of LaFolle Boulevard used to be in District 1. Now it's in District, it used to be in District 5, it's now in District 1. So District 5 now includes areas like Margaret Drive, Ivy Lane, a lot of those condominium associations that are down towards the bottom.
On Pleasant Valley Road?
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
Okay, so I mean, like I said before, there's nothing we can do about this. There's no vote to be taken. The vote has already been taken with the state legislature. District 1 has to be the way it is. So then it comes to the other map that we're proposing. This is a little different.
But just for one, so this is, as Sue said, there's nothing we can do about it, and the registrar's office will inform all the voters that are impacted by this.
Yeah, we have to mail first class to each and every voter of the change.
Scott, can you zoom out a little bit? I just want to see District 1 over there on the left corner of the screen. Oh, there we are. There it is. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Scott. Okay, so what was the changes that you ladies needed to do because of District 1's changes?
The only thing we're going to be doing is notifying all the voters that they're now going to be voting at the Pleasant Valley School.
Okay. Did you have to change any of the other districts, such as 5 or 3?
No, that's the other thing we wanted to talk to you about. We had been looking at the map, and I think I spoke with you, Mayor Pendleton, and we talked about kind of evening out the lines a little and making it not so jutting out in all the districts. So it's about 50 homes, I believe, that will be impacted by it. It's just taking away the, like I said, the juts in and out and making it the lines easier. So that is a decision that all of you as the council will have to decide yes or no. So we can leave it the way it is, or we can now make the changes to the to the district lines.
It just really makes sense. In my opinion, it cleans up the lines of the districts, streamlines it, just makes it look, makes more sense. Like for instance, because we only have unfortunately one map here to show you tonight, but a voter in District 2 that before we made a couple of the little changes had to drive over to District 4 to vote. So it's not only cleaning it up, but it's streamlining it for the voters. And it impacts such a low number of homes, you know, like approximately 50 homes, that that's something we're asking for your approval of.
Thank
The
you.
only
Mr.
big
Roberts,
area
can
is,
you- I'm sorry, Mr. Roberts, can you pan out on that map a little bit so we can see? Because the map that we have in front of us has the lines that are all the jutted lines, zigzaggy all over the place. And what we're presently looking at on our screen is very cleaned up lines on the map. And no more jutting compared to what we have in our hands. So I can see how you've improved that. And does that, with the map done that way, or, you know, moving the houses around to wherever they needed to go, is that still equitable for residences and homes within each of the districts?
when you say equitable, I'm not quite sure whether is it distance-wise you're talking about? Because distance-wise, I don't think any of these people are traveling much more than what they did before.
No, not distance, more like District 4 doesn't have an overabundance of homes compared to District 2, or, I mean, home-wise, it's all pretty equitable, the way that
Yes.
you guys, okay.
Well, I mean, when you say equitable, districts 3 and 5, which is the high school and Timothy Edwards, are much larger population-wise. They're both over 5,000.
Right.
And districts 2 and 4, because they're in the smaller schools, Philip R. Smith in 4, and then Eli Terry for 2, they've got lower populations in there. By making these moves, we're not really changing those numbers all that much. Like I said, it's about 50 homes. And of course, we can't tell until we actually get into the system how many voters are in those individual homes. But it's not going to make a large difference to any of the districts. It's not a major move.
Does anyone else have any questions concerning the map and what the registrars are presenting to us? Can't see all my folks, and I'm not sure if anybody over here has it, because I'm sharing the screen. Okay. Just yell out if anybody has any questions, please.
And Sue, back me up on this, but Sue and I are both very adamant that we are going to be staying in the schools, and those are the best places for polling locations. So this is not a polling location change at all. This is just drawing the line slightly different.
It's just really a minor cleanup, and we thought while we're doing this, we can't do anything right now anyway, till this is has gone through the state. And but we just thought while we're having to change District 1, which is Pleasant Valley, we thought that we would do a little minor, like you said, Liz, the cleaning up the zigzags.
So it does.
Go ahead, Jamie. Councilor Gamble.
So it doesn't it doesn't affect the polling locations, you said?
We're not changing polling locations.
No, it does not.
Well, but you're changing it for the people who are now like outside the zigzag, right?
Well, they're going to go to a different location, but
Right.
District 2 will remain Eli Terry. District 4 will remain, right.
And so forth.
Yep.
And don't be fooled by District 3 being so landmass large, because there's a lot of industrial in there.
Right.
And,
Right.
and looking at the fan of District 3, and I'm calling it the fan, which is in the up northeast corner there, District 3. If you remove that, there would be very little in District 3, but you need that in District 3 because you couldn't put it in District 2 or District 4. So that would overburden those two. So
that's correct.
Absolutely correct.
I think it looks fantastic compared to what we have holding in our hands. I think you ladies did a great job. Are you looking, does anyone else have any comments about the work that they did? And is there anything that you're asking? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to make a comment about the zigzagging that was cleaned up. Looking at the map, there's actually a beauty in the zigzag, and I'll explain myself. The cleaned map that you have there, what that does is, in many more instances, makes it so residences in the same neighborhoods where they might have been voting in the same district, like your neighbor across the street, with the zigzag map, it kind of keeps those neighborhoods along those corridors in the same district. By cleaning up those lines, you're splitting a lot of neighborhoods into two districts. I don't know if that's okay or not, but if you can, provide some comments on that and how that could affect polling and voting.
Well, most of those zigzags that, if you look at it, they're large parcels of land. There really aren't that many homes impacted.
Well, it's not, I guess it's not about the number of homes, it's the impact on, the neighborhood.
I would like to point out, though, that we're talking about, Mr. Roberts, if you could zoom in on District 5 and District 4 area, because that would seem to me like that would have the most effect. That's Ellington Road. That's really not a neighborhood. That's Ellington Road that has a straight line. And then if we go up into District 2 and District 3, the upper corner, you really just did Miller Road. So that's not, is it Miller Road that you also did? I believe, yes, Miller Road. And hey, that's really not a neighborhood.
You don't need to live on a cul-de-sac to be in a neighborhood.
No, I know. I'm just saying a cluster of houses. These are more on the long strip of roads. Does anyone else have any comments? Is there anything that you're looking for the town?
Madam Mayor.
Go right ahead.
Just to reiterate, ladies, you did say that the people or the homes and the residents that would be impacted would all be getting a letter, something saying, hey, you're moving from point A to point B.
That is correct. First class mail by law.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
And it's less than 50 homes.
Yeah, roughly 50 homes.
Okay.
And the assisted living facility, which we do supervised absentee balloting at, so they're not impacted at all, really.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, ladies, is there anything that you're looking for the council to do at this time?
You have to vote on it and approve it.
We have to vote on and approve.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, it is a discussion item. So Attorney Olson, how do we do this at this time to vote on this and approve this? I didn't realize we'd have to have a vote on this. But if we do, shall we just make a motion to, Attorney Olson, please?
Yes, hi, I'm sorry. I have my video off because my computer's trying to burn up. I guess it doesn't like WebEx. Just trying to save energy. So, you have it on as a discussion item.
Yes.
So it would be a matter of someone making a motion, and it would have to be seconded as to whether to approve or to take other actions such as tabling it for further discussion or further consideration.
Okay. Is there someone who'd like to entertain a motion to vote on the map that was presented on the changes by the registrars of voters?
I'd like to make a motion to vote on the approval of the map as presented with the changes in voting districts.
Second.
And any discussion? Councilor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So what is the rush with getting this done tonight? I mean, doesn't this have to be approved by the legislature or something like that? Like, what is the rush? Because I feel like this is being rushed a little bit. So I just want to make sure that I'm fully understanding what's going on. Like, one of my questions is, does this impact, school districting or anything like that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I don't know. So I just sort of, I read the letter and I see the map, but I just want to make sure I'm not just rushing to, just.
Well, can I respond to that, Madam Mayor?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay. As far as we're presenting this tonight for you guys to look at, District 1, again, as I said, was voted on by the state legislature. We don't have anything that is not going to be voted on. The only thing you need to vote on is the changes that we made to districts, 5, 4, 2, and 3 outside of the District 1 impact. That needs to be done by mid-March. So if you wanted to take some time to look it over, understand it, ask us more questions, no problem. Mid-March, we'd like to have this voted on and done so that we can get our work done, because we have to have all the districts lined up prior to both the Democratic and the Republican town committees selections of their delegates to the conventions. So that has to be the end of March that the names get sent in. So we have to have all of this realigned prior to that selection. So it's up to the council whether or not you want to do it tonight or the next council meeting, but it does have to be done by mid-March so that we can have the time to get the system done and ready.
All right, thanks. Just one follow-up question. So if we acted on it next meeting, that would give you plenty of time for what you need to do, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have, Madam Mayor.
But while we're presenting tonight, we would present the second portion of it.
Well, you're what tonight? I'm sorry?
Well, we presented what is mandated, to be done, which is the Pleasant Valley School District. We thought that, that's being presented tonight, and we thought we would put the other option out there as well that you would need to vote on.
Okay. Councilor Kozakowski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, as a point of order, we don't have this on our agenda for adoption. So unless we add it to the agenda first, it's not appropriate to be voting on it. Secondly, this revised map that we saw tonight landed on my doorstep at 5:15 when I got home from work today. So I didn't really get a chance to review it. So I would like to reserve that right to review the map. And I think it's important to offer the map as, to be available for the public for viewing before we take any action on it.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Councilor Evans?
I was just going to say that I am comfortable holding off, so I would like to withdraw my motion that cannot be on the agenda because we did not suspend the agenda to add said motion.
Agreed.
Thank you. So what we'll do is go ahead and put this on for the next agenda meeting on the 14th, which for this to appear on February 21st meeting.
Easy like Sunday morning.
Easy like Sunday morning. Thank you,
There
ladies.
you go. No drama. Boom. Don't like it? Let's keep it moving.
So we'll see this back here on the 21st of February. Thank you, ladies, for what you've done, the hard work you've done.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have 13D, please. Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution amending a previously approved resolution from the January 18th, 2022 Town Council meeting. The resolution appointing Dominica Zonic as clerk of the council. Whereas the South Windsor Town Council previously adopted a resolution appointing Dominica Zonic as clerk of the council on January 18th, 2022, which resolution stated an incorrect term and date. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Dominica Zonic as clerk of the council for a term ending November 13th, 2023, to fill the unexpired term of Deborah Reed.
Is there a second? And any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Moving on to 13E. Page turned. 13E, and that's Counselor Evans.
13E, resolution amending a previously approved resolution from the December 6, 2021 Town Council meeting regarding the creation of a Park and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation Committee. Whereas the South Windsor Town Council previously approved a resolution creating a Park and Recreation Facility and Implementation Committee at their December 6, 2021 Town Council meeting. And whereas since the creation of the committee, the Town Council had held discussions regarding the membership of this committee and have made prudent changes to the makeup of the membership, which should be reflected in the resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council amends the resolution to read as follows. Whereas the town of South Windsor operates a robust parks and recreation program that includes children, teens, adults, and seniors, and whereas since July 2017, the South Windsor Parks and Recreation Department has been housed at Wapping School, and whereas the town of South Windsor invested $1,341,277.90 into the upgrade, maintenance, and operation of Wapping School in order to operate its programs, and whereas Wapping School is still under the control of the South Windsor Board of Education, and whereas the town of South Windsor has seen a significant increase in the student population, and whereas the Board of Education has notified the town that they will need Wapping School for educational purposes to meet the needs of the increased student population by July 1, 2023, and whereas the town of South Windsor needs a permanent home for the Parks and Recreation Department, now therefore it be resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby creates a Park and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation Committee with the express purpose to 1. Identify the needs of the South Windsor Parks and Recreation Department and the recreational needs of the South Windsor community. 2. Identify and vet locations for the South Windsor Parks and Recreation Department based on the following criteria. A. Meeting department programming needs. B. Space for growth and meeting the needs of the community today and tomorrow. C. Accessibility to all residents. D. Cost effectiveness. To make a recommendation to the Town Council that offers, 3. To make a recommendation to the Town Council that offers a plan for the relocation of the South Windsor Parks and Recreation Department. 4. Educate and advocate for the proposed facilities solution and for resources to implement the plan. 5. Effectively transition and collaborate with the Public Building Commission to implement and transition the new Park and Recreation facility. 6, the committee shall be dissolved at the completion of the proposed project or the failure of a referendum to allocate resources for a proposed project. And be it further resolved that the committee shall consist of 7 voting members with no more than a bare majority being from one single political party. 1 member shall also be a member on the Public Building Commission and bring experience in design and building of public facilities. 1 member shall be from the Park and Recreation Commission, who will bring an understanding and knowledge of the community's recreational needs. 1 member shall be a high school student who is a registered voter with experience with the Recreation Department, and all 4 remaining members shall be voting members of the community and must have experience in planning, building, architecture, design, and/or recreation. And be it further resolved that a member of the town council from the majority party and the minority party shall be ex officio members with the right to speak at meetings but not vote. The town manager and/or his designee shall also be ex officio members with the right to speak at meetings but not to vote.
Is there a second? And
Second.
Is there any discussion? Any corrections, any discussion? Not hearing, Councilor Paterna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Are we still 1 person short here? So do we have any other potential nominees coming in?
Councilor Evans, do you know what our membership is for names here?
I was going to say that it looks like that is actually an item next on our agenda. I don't know if we want to.
Right after this one.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any or seeing any? And the motion carries. Thank you, Councilor Evans. Moving on to
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I was going to recuse myself from the vote since I'm one of the people nominated to be on this committee.
Okay, 13.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Councilor Paterna. And it says Councilor Gamble, go ahead and read this. 13F.
Madam Mayor, a resolution appointing members to the Park and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation Committee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints the following members to the Park and Recreation Facility Planning and Implementation Committee: Matthew Montana, George Kay, Andrew Paterna, Kathleen Doherty, Nate Bernier, and Drew Mabey.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'd just like to say that it's Nathan Bernier.
Nathan, sorry.
You may know him as Nate, but it says Nathan. Just want to make sure it was official. Okay. Are there any names that should be removed from this? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Any discussion?
Yeah, discussion. I would like to go back. Sorry.
Councilor Evans.
Talking out of turn, sorry. I'd like to go back to Councilor Paterna's question and just go through the needs of this committee at this point. We do have 1 seat remaining to be filled. Looking at some of the areas that we have not met, you know, the architecture design area we haven't touched on. We have some recreation already filled, as well as professional building space planner as well. So I think if there's anyone with that kind of background, would really be an asset to this group.
Is Matthew Montana not a architect? I believe.
Perhaps he is. I'm not sure. You could be right. We also do have 1 spot that on the bottom with the little chart that, you know, the counselors have for the town manager or the designee. I'm assuming, Mr. Town Manager, that you are planning to fulfill this role, but that was the other spot that we still needed to determine.
Yeah, I can identify. We would probably have Director of Park and Recreation participate in my place.
So that's all I have as far as an update on this remaining available spaces. We do just need 1 more individual.
Thank you, Councilor Evans. Is there any more discussion about these names and appointments? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing, oh, I'm sorry, we need a roll call, please. And we have an abstention, I take it.
Counselor Evans,
Yes.
Counselor Lidecker,
Yes.
Counselor Gamble,
Yes.
Counselor Lopez,
Yes.
Counselor Kozakowski,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King,
Yes.
Counselor Kowalski, Counselor Paterna, Mayor Pendleton.
Yes, and we have that abstention. I don't know what happened to Counselor Paterna. He may have stepped out, but he is an abstention. He announced that prior to us reading this. So we'll accept his abstention from the beginning. There he is.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay. So can we have a count, please?
3 ayes, 0, 1 abstain,
One abstain and
and 7
Six.
yes. 6. There's 8 people.
so who's the seventh? Did I miss someone?
Yeah.
Oh,
7.
myself. Myself, sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the motion carries. Now, moving on to item 13G. Counselor Evans.
13G, resolution appointing Barbara Kelly to the Town Council Subcommittee Open Space Task Force. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Barbara Kelly to the Town Council Subcommittee Open Space Task Force as the Inland Wetlands Agency Conservation Commission representative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Item 13H, Counselor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 13H, resolution appointing Bart Pasiconis to the Town Council Subcommittee Open Space Task Force. Now therefore be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Bart Pasiconis to the Town Council Subcommittee Open Space Task Force as the Planning and Zoning Commission representative.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And is there any discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Now moving on to the new business of items 13, it becomes item I, 13I, and that is our old AF. Just give me 1 second to get there. Here we go. And that's the old item 11F. And that is under new business. The Counselor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolution appointing Audrey Delnicki, an alternate to the Inland Wetlands Commission, and postponing consideration of this motion until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Audrey Delnicki, an alternate to the Inland Wetlands Commission, for a term ending December 1st, 2023, and postpones consideration of this motion until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And is there any discussion? Counselor Gamble?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to give my full endorsement of Audrey Delnicki for this position. As you know, she has been serving this town for many, many years in different capacities. On the Board of Education, she was on Town Council, and she was on ZBA, and she was even on Wetlands for about 15 years. So I think she's a great fit for this, as she's already been doing it before. So I'm sort of baffled as to why this got pulled. So I just am fully endorsing her, and I just want to see this, go through. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Gamble. Is there any other discussion? Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to also express my support for this resolution appointing, my support of moving forward with the resolution as stated, at being as a first read. When we had a conversation earlier about the Open Space Task Force and the requirements and responsibilities of that task force and how we go about appointing people to the task force, we ended up having a good tangent conversation about why we do first and second reads, why we put those on the agenda. And we talked about the history of it and kind of what the goal and intent of doing a first read and postponing a vote to another meeting. And we kind of both came to the conclusion that by bringing the name forward in the first read, it almost like kicks off a due diligence period where we have an opportunity to get to know this person, review their work, and see how they can fit in the capacity of the role of the board or commission that they're serving. And I think we all know who Audrey Dudnicki is, and are aware of her body of work on the town council. But I do know that she was on the inland wetlands for a long time. But I did not have an opportunity to review her work on the Wetlands Commission. So I would say let's move forward with the first read, take the next 2 weeks, have an opportunity to review that work and see if she is still a good fit to serve on that commission. So I beg you, plead you guys to let's move forward with the resolution as a first read, postponing a vote to another meeting, and so we can fulfill our obligation as counselors. Thank you. Mayor, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. I'm sorry. Thank you. I was muted. So is there any other discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilor Evans?
No.
Councilor Lydecker?
No.
Councilor Gamble?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Nope.
Councilor Kozakowski?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King?
No.
Councilor Kowalski, not here. Councilor Paterna?
No.
Mayor Pendleton?
No. So the vote is 6-2. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the motion fails. Thank you. Moving on to the new 13J, which is the old 11G. Councilor Kozakowski, please. The old 11G, I'm sorry, would now become 13J under new business.
The 13J new business resolution appointing Richard Balboni to the Public Building Commission and postponing the consideration of this motion until the town council's next regularly scheduled meeting. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Richard Balboni to the Public Building Commission for a term ending November 30th, 2025, and postpones consideration of this motion until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Gamble. Is there any discussion? Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, the responsibility of this council is to appoint people to these boards and commissions. And first, I want to say there's not a wait list for filling seats on these boards and commissions. As Councilor Evan knows, finding volunteers to serve is proving more challenging than we would hope. That said, we have a person that wants to serve on this public building commission. And again, I ask the council, let's fulfill our responsibility and move forward with the first reading so we can move forward with our due diligence of reviewing Mr. Balboni's capability and ability to serve on this commission. He doesn't have the benefit of serving on this commission before, but you know, I think he deserves the opportunity to field any questions that you might have, or what any of us might have. Give him an opportunity to defend his position and share his desire and willingness and ability to serve the town of South Windsor in this fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Councilor Gamble, did you want to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I just want to, I agree with Councilor Kozakowski's assessment of the intent that we should be, you know, doing this first read for, you know, Mr. Balboni. I do know that basically whatever I do say here probably will not matter in the end. You're going to vote how you're going to vote, but I just want to go on the record as saying I support Rick Balboni, and I think he would make a fine member of this PBC. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamble. Any other discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
And all those opposed? Roll call, please.
Councilor Evans?
No.
Councilor Lidecker?
No.
Councilor Gamble?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Nope.
Councilor Kozakowski?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King?
No.
Councilor Pawlowski? Councilor Paterno?
No.
Mayor Pendleton?
No.
All right, so 6 aye, 2 no. Or no, 2
Thank
no.
you. So the motion is defeated. Thank you. Moving on to item 13K now, which was 11H, please. Councilor Kozakowski.
Resolution appointing Stephanie Weintraub as alternate to the Economic Development Commission and postponing consideration of this motion until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby appoints Stephanie Weintraub as alternate to the Economic Development Commission for a term ending November 30th, 2025, and postpones consideration of this motion until the Town Council's next regularly scheduled meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Gamble and Councilor Kozakowski. Is there any, seeing a second, is there any discussion? Councilor Kozakowski?
Yes, again, for the third time, I am asking this council to fulfill its responsibility and providing an opportunity to open this due diligence period by approving the motion to move the first reading and postponing the vote to another meeting, so we can all have an opportunity to assess Ms. Weintraub's ability to serve on the Economic Development Commission as an alternate, and provide us an opportunity to ask her any questions that we might have about her capabilities and her desire to serve South Windsor in this capacity. And it's the responsibility of this council to do that. And looking at some of your faces, I can see this is painful for some of you, voting in this way. So please step up, do the right thing, and move this resolution forward as a first reading, so we can do what we need to do and consider a vote on the next regular scheduled meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Is there any other discussion? Councilor Gamble.
I just want to echo Councilor Kozakowski's very well put argument. His point of view was very well thought out. It's the right thing to do, and I hope you all consider this vote very carefully, because I think it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Roll call, please.
Erica Evans?
No.
Counselor Evans?
No.
Counselor Lidecker?
No.
Counselor Gamble?
Yes.
Counselor Lopez?
Nope.
Counselor Kozakowski?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King?
No.
Counselor Paterno?
No.
Mayor Pendleton?
No.
6 noes, 2 yeses.
Thank you, and the motion does not carry. Thank you. Is defeated. Now moving on to, in the agenda, we are now into item 14, passage of ordinance. We have none. And item 15 is public input for any matter. Mr. Roberts, do we have any citizens on the phone that would like to speak, please, on any matter?
Madam Mayor, we do have 2 people in the queue that would like to speak.
Okay. Thank
Would
you
like
for
me to
joining us this evening.
To let them in the order that they came in?
Yes, please.
Okay, hang on one sec.
Certainly.
Should be coming in just a second.
Certainly, thank you.
I'd like to express that I'm not surprised on how the appointments were voted on tonight, especially after the vote at the January 3rd, 2022 meeting. What does surprise me is that you would do it again to the same 2 people and now me. Please remember, what goes around comes around. From what I see, individuals on this council are using their position to go after individuals that do not agree with them and are placing the priority on not allowing the minority party to have a voice and allow their appointments. The minority party has a right to their appointments. It has been over 25 years that the minority party did not get an appointment that they were nominated. And now, 2 months in a row, the current minority party are denied again. Is this a 25-year-old vendetta? This is how it looks to me. And it was brought up by a counselor at the January 3rd meeting that the minority party voted against a nominated individual for the majority party a few years back. That is not a comparison, because that individual did get appointed and was seated. This is apples and oranges. So please rethink before you adjourn tonight's meeting, and please reconsider this vote. If you do not, you will show how political you are being and how you are blocking the minority party their voice. Thank you, and have a great evening, town councilors.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, the next person, please.
Hang on one sec.
I'm sorry, Mr. Roberts, did that last person state their name? I didn't quite catch it.
Didn't hear it, but the other person's coming right in.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Corinne Boardwalk, Pleasant Valley Road. I heard the phrase small but vocal group used earlier tonight, and I've also heard it used by one of our town council members in a previous meeting. And I first and foremost want to say shame on anyone who tries to diminish the voice or position of others who are willing to speak at town meetings. Also, shame on those of you on our town council who are consistently blocking people who are trying to serve our community on commissions, and for being unwilling to do your job, to accept these motions, to take the time to even do your due diligence or have open discussions in regards to these appointments. I would also like to take a moment to correct my statement from the last town council meeting when I said that a press release was used to implement the town-wide mask mandate. A declaration of emergency was filed with the town clerk, and unfortunately the residents in town weren't able to get that information very readily because our town manager failed to do his job in completion. According to the South Windsor Code of Ordinances, section 26-5, which was actually cited in the declaration of emergency, it clearly states that the town manager shall cause such declaration to be published by internet, press release, and other available mass notification systems. So had the declarations of emergency been published as required by the town ordinance, I would have been able to make a more informed public comment. I did email Michael and his office about the failure to publish these declarations by the internet on January 20th, and suddenly on January 21st, there were 7 declarations of emergencies uploaded onto the town website. So anyone is welcome to visit the town website where you can clearly see the date that all 7 of those documents were uploaded. During our last town council meeting, the town manager stated that there was no need to question if others are doing their jobs appropriately. And not only do I adamantly disagree with that statement, but I also think it's a really dangerous suggestion coming from a town manager who holds authority over residents in town. Not only do we have the right to ask questions, but we have the responsibility to make sure that our town government is using their authorities and conducting business appropriately. I think it's important to warn our town council and our town residents that in a recent Freedom of Information Act request that I had submitted, the information provided to me was grossly inadequate. And it was only until after I questioned the town manager about the matter that it was discovered that over 5,100 emails that should have been included in that request were not. We must ask questions. Lastly, I'd like to point out a major hypocrisy. Andy, earlier tonight you spoke praises about how our South Windsor Police Department was working to contribute to the mental health of our residents, which I think is absolutely wonderful. However, at our last town council meeting, our town manager had 3 police officers come to remove me from the town hall for not wearing a face covering, which I have a medical exemption from. Our town manager, as well as multiple town council members, were aware that I had a medical exemption. My question is, what do you think that type of situation and unnecessary stress does to a pregnant woman's mental health? And how do you think that makes our police officers feel to take action against a town resident that isn't doing anything wrong? I was threatened with a notice of trespass that was never given because I was not doing anything wrong. I'm hearing you guys say that you care about health, mental health, and that there are allowances for medical exemptions in our town mandate, but everyone on the town council stood by complacently while I was mistreated. I would like to invite our town manager and our town council to take Michael's challenge from our last meeting to do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else, Mr. Roberts, that have called in?
Just one second.
Sure.
Madam Mayor, I have one other person that would like to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Good evening.
Hi, this is Dan Edwards, 131 Hilton Drive. I'd like to echo the last speaker's comment on taking up the town manager on this challenge to do better. This is just a disappointing meeting, again. Very disappointing. The council is failing in their responsibility. Each and every one of you on that screen that I'm looking, excuse me, the ones that, you know the ones I'm looking at on the screen right now. I'd like to call for the town manager to immediately lift the virtual requirement for meetings. I think everybody here knows that that town council chamber would be full right now with people speaking in support of the candidates. The volunteers, early in the meeting, I heard several pleas from, councilors. I've seen several pleas online from councilors. We need representatives. We need representatives. We need volunteers for the committees. But what apparently they're not saying is, we only need the volunteers if we think that they actually agree with us. We don't care, if they don't agree with us, we don't really want them. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say that you need volunteers, and then when you have people, experienced people that are more experienced than half the committee, than many committee members that are out there, volunteering their time to summarily turn them down without doing your due diligence, that's a complete and utter failure, and it should be ashamed. Moreover, I'd like to echo that comment by a prior speaker who stated that a counselor, I'd like to echo the statement by the first speaker who referenced disinformation that was provided by a sitting town councilor in trying to actually refute an argument about appointments to a committee. That information is dangerous, and that counselor should be ashamed. Please stop suppressing the town voices. You need volunteers, you have volunteers. Accept them. Do your due diligence, but again, don't just deny them because you have the power. That's not right.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Is there anyone else?
Madam Mayor, hold on one second, I'll check.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, there looks like there's two more. Would you like me to let them in?
Yes, please. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kevin Chung, 265 Diane Drive. I just want to say that what I've been witnessing with these town meetings is absolutely disgusting and unacceptable on every level. You guys are playing complete games with people that are volunteering to serve the community, and you're not affording them the opportunity to do so. I saw a video of the young lady that spoke earlier, I believe, where she had a medical exemption, and the way how she was treated by the town manager was absolutely shameful, and he was an absolute coward in the way how he handled things. That's not the way how you should treat people. It's unacceptable on every level. I've spoken to other people that are on this council, and they all seem to want to pass the buck to each other. I remember when the BLM thing was going on, and I questioned why it was painted at Town Hall, a place that was supposed to be a refuge for all town residents, and it excluded certain people. And I was basically called a racist because of my views. And just so you know, I'm a black male in this town, and I'm being called a racist because I disagree with that kind of messaging being placed in Town Hall. You guys need to do better. You really do. It is really shameful what's going on. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Chung. Mr. Roberts, is there another person?
1 second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
They should be entering momentarily.
They're Barry Main Street. I'm actually disgusted by what I've seen tonight, as others have echoed. Your partisanship and divisiveness is actually appalling. You preach equity and inclusion. Practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. This is, you have a council person who is going to be going for a House seat. Is this the kind of divisiveness that you're going to bring to Hartford, representing South Windsor in Hartford? No, that's not going to happen. You need to do better, like everybody else has said. Stop the divisiveness. We're supposed, like I said, practice what you preach.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, is there any other callers?
1 second, Madam Mayor.
Absolutely.
Madam Mayor, at this time, I don't show anybody with a hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Moving on to item 16, communications from council. Is there any communications from the council? Councilor Kozakowski?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just for the benefit of the minutes and our new council clerk, the first speaker in item 15, public input on any matter, was former councilor Audrey Delneggy.
Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Is there any other communications from the council? Not seeing any. There is no executive session, and number 18 is motion to adjourn. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and good night, and be safe and stay well.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.